Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick info before we begin. Today's video has 2 stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Aximal. I, 26 male, found a used condom in my girlfriend's 25 female trash can. For background, I haven't seen my girlfriend in 2 weeks prior to finding it. My car broke down catastrophically and the day before I got into a minor fender bender. Over the course of these 2 weeks, we had gotten into 2 medium intensity spats, and after that, she became progressively drier and seemed uninterested. The frequency of her texts went down and they were less and less descriptive. This is almost certainly due to her job being more intensive, but a part of me can't help but feel it was a precursor to what happened. I finally pick her up from work and she's immediately apologetic for being so dry while we haven't seen each other and said she'd do better. Once I took her home yesterday, Friday night, and as I'm throwing away a gum wrapper, I notice what looks like a condom and my heart sinks. Against my better judgment, I pulled it out of the trash can and it was totally used, no question there. I calmly called her downstairs and asked her why there was a condom in her trash can when we don't use them. She sort of froze and after a few seconds began to tremble physically and verbally, explaining to me that she swore on everything that it wasn't hers. She explained to me that while she was at her dad's Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, she had given her roommate's younger sister and her boyfriend her room while she was away, as she was braiding his hair, and that they were the ones who used the condom and threw it in her trash can. I asked her why, despite it being 2 to 3 days old, it was at the top of her trash can, visible, and she told me to look around her room and mentioned that she has several pieces of trash around. Coke cans, wrappers, and the like, and she generally hasn't been throwing trash away for the past few days. She then got extremely angry and said that she was going to confront the roommate's sister that did this and ban her from her room. The next hour was me sitting on the edge of her bed, trembling, and her staring at me and crying, both of us not saying a word. I expressed to her that this is the most humiliating thing I'd ever experienced and that this is a knife to the heart. She spent the majority of the time saying that she loved me and that she would never throw away our relationship for something so ephemeral and stupid. Incredulously, I told her that I'd seen and heard that before and that everyone is going to say what they would and wouldn't do in this situation. In the end, I chose to believe her. When I asked if I could be present when she confronted the friend, she said that I could not and that would be breaking a boundary as that is her friend and not mine. She said that if the situation were the other way around, she would trust me to handle it and relay the information. That rubbed me the wrong way. I've known this girl for 6 years and have been dating her for 6 months. And in the time I've known her, she's had 2 long-term boyfriends that she's still on good terms with and has, to my knowledge, never done anything this scummy. I want to believe her so badly, but everything in me is screaming at me to get out and believe that she cheated on me. I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid the copium is guiding me. Well, OP, I gotta be honest, in the beginning, I did also want to believe your girlfriend, at least give her the benefit of the doubt, but her whole story is shaky at best. She lent her roommate's sister her room so she could keep braiding her boyfriend's hair, because of course she just couldn't do that in any other room in the house, like, let's say, the living room. But not just that, after they finished braiding his hair in OP's room, they decided to have sex and throw away the condom in the trash, as you do after you have sex in somebody else's bed. And up to there, I was like, yeah, I don't buy it, but it's plausible. But then, her not allowing you to be present when she was supposed to confront the roommate and her sister, which I still don't know why the roommate needs to be confronted. It's the sister only because OP lent the room to the sister. Anyways, you're not allowed to be there because that would be breaking a boundary? I don't get it. This is literally the one thing that could prove that she is innocent. Why would she not want you to be there? Unless she's not gonna do it and it's all a big fat lie. Which is the reason why I believe, OP, that this 6-month relationship has run its course. And based on everything that you told us in the post, I do believe that she's cheating on you, and if I were in your shoes, I would break up and move on. And what about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes, or what kind of advice would you give him? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Ascended Kin says, so the roommates used her room, then dumped all the remains of the action in the garbage, then your girlfriend, who allegedly hasn't cleaned in a few days, slept comfortably in the same bed where juices were spilled? Sorry OP, not buying it at all. The first thing I would have done is confirmed with the friend if they actually indeed used the room. Right now, way too much time has passed for stories to be changed and other people to cover for her. Her reaction to this was far too emotional for someone not guilty, regardless of how it looked. With that said though, there is a slim possibility she is telling the truth, but figuring that part out at this point would be difficult. And OP responds, I forgot to mention that she changed the sheets Wednesday night when she got back from her dad's. Infinite Biscotti 3439 says, so one time this guy I was dating found a condom in my bathroom trash can and got angry because he apparently ties his off and this one was not tied. I was confused for a moment and then remembered that during sex he thought something was wrong with the condom, took it off and tossed it behind him, and threw on another one. After he left, I found the condom and threw it away, obviously not tying it off because I barely wanted to touch it, lol. I calmly reminded him of this fact and he got embarrassed and apologized. I'm sharing this story because my immediate reaction was not to sob. It was confusing because I initially had no idea what could have happened, then an oh yeah moment and a calm explanation. Fun fact though, lol, he was actually cheating on me that whole time, but that's another story. In my experience, super over-the-top reactions are always due to a guilty conscience. Random Dude 2004 says, tell her that if you can't talk to that girl now, then you are done. You are not the bad guy, no matter what she says. If she has nothing to hide, then she will let you. If she is innocent, then she might feel hurt because you didn't trust her. But if she cheated, then you save yourself from wasting your time with a cheater. Ask the question, if you would trust her and find out years later that she had in fact cheated on you, maybe for even longer by that point, then wouldn't you feel like your time was being wasted and you could have saved so much by confronting the roommate's sister immediately? And Weekly Conversation 8 says, she's lying, there's no way her roommate's sibling would use her bed for sex. That's just weird and gross. Her reaction told you everything you needed to know before she even said a word. She froze, began trembling, then began the lying. Then she claims she's gonna confront the sister, but you can't be there? She's gonna try to get the sister to take the fall. She cheated. Dump her lying, cheating ass. Additional information from OP's comments. I have a feeling she did cheat on me, and I agree that her friendship boundary is a ridiculous excuse. The only thing is that at the time of finding the condom, neither the roommate nor her sister, who doesn't live there, were home. Then, after sitting in bed crying for an hour, she said that was because I thought she cheated and that she was deathly afraid of losing me. In her words, the emotions were overwhelming. And as I said in the post, once she was done shaking and trembling, she became angry at the sister and was furious about having to confront her about it. But yeah, the biggest thing that is making me uneasy is the fact that she is denying me the ability to be there once she confronts the roommate. That is her only saving grace and means of evidence. Okay, well, the majority of the community believes that OP is being cheated on and that he should end the relationship. And we also learned a few things, like the girlfriend changing the sheets on Wednesday night. And on that point, I want to ask you guys the following question. Do you think that little bit of evidence that she changed the sheets is good or bad for her story? My take is that it could be read either way. She either changed them because the sister and her boyfriend used the bed and she didn't want to sleep in dirty sheets, or she changed them because she used them and she didn't want to have to explain that. Anyways, it's time to move on to the update to see how this story ends, but of course before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on with that update. I broke up with her. I went into her house, grabbed my coat and other things, sat her down and flatly, matter-of-factly, broke up with her. As I was explaining why, she cut me off and started to get agitated. She immediately tried to flip it around on me and called me evil for breaking up with her so abruptly. She said I was an a-hole for not sending her a text hours in advance indicating a problem and for acting as if things were normal. She said I was an a-hole for talking to everyone else about it but her, to which I pointed out that we talked plenty about it on Friday and that there wasn't much to discuss between the two of us. Also to note, aside from Reddit, I asked everyone in my life that I trusted to have a level-headed opinion, and the majority of them said that the entire situation was suspicious and that her story just wasn't adding up. The final nail in the coffin was when I would mention that she excluded me from being there when she confronted the sister, and that this was the literal only thing that would prove her innocence. The larger part of our post-breakup discussion was her berating me for how I broke up with her. I was dressed up because I was going out with friends, so she even brought that up saying, "How could you show up looking so good and break up with me like that?" We barely even discussed the root cause. All she said was, "I didn't do anything, OP," in a defeated tone a few times. After the silence, she finally said, "I was going to include you in the conversation after thinking about it." She told me she was writing in her little pink book at work all day about how she was finally going to include me and how much I meant to her. This meant that in her tiny diary, she wrote that she decided to include me in the conversation with her and the roommate and roommate's sister, and that would clear her name. She, for some reason, wrote that down and wanted to tell me almost 2 days after her decision to change her mind about my inclusion. I told her it was too late for that. The last thing I said to her was telling her that if she didn't cheat on me, that she handled it so poorly I wouldn't have been able to fully trust her ever again after that. I told her that it was absolutely mind-boggling to me that someone who's being accused of something as grave as cheating wouldn't jump on the opportunity to prove their innocence. Friendship boundary be damned. I found an effing condom in your trash can. And finally, I told her that if she did, I hope it was worth it. I told her I would have done anything for her and that she threw it all away. My thoughts constantly vacillate between hating her guts and missing her intensely. I feel so sad, defeated, humiliated, and alone. OP, I'm sorry you're feeling like crap right now, but you made the right decision. Or wait, maybe you made the wrong decision because, yeah, she did write down in her journal that you were gonna come to the conversation. What does that mean? It means nothing. These are just drowning kicks. You made the right decision, OP, so hang in there because it'll pass and focus on yourself. Thank you so much for sharing, OP, and all the best in the future. Now, let's move on to the next story that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Clueless Dad Perhaps. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter it's just a dress and she's being dramatic? I'm a single dad to 3 daughters. This revolves around my middle, Juliet, 17 female. A few weeks ago, I took her shopping for her prom dress. She picked one that she absolutely loved and she truly looks like a princess. Then, last week, she was very upset because she saw on Instagram that a classmate, not a friend, but someone in her grade, had bought the same dress but in a different color. She tried asking the other girl to change, and the other girl rightfully told her no. I was sympathetic and let her vent, also adding that it was a different color, so at the very least it wasn't too similar. The issue is, Juliet has been trash talking the other girl for the past week. This is very out of character for her. She's never been a gossip. But I've heard her venting to her friends about it. I let it go because what does venting really matter? Then I got a call from Juliet's history teacher saying that she overheard Juliet talking poorly about this girl repeatedly. While the other girl is not in the class and there's no evidence of bullying, she is worried it'll get there. I sat Juliet down and said while I understand completely that this is frustrating and I may not get all that comes with dresses and such, this isn't fair to the other girl. From what it seems, she didn't purposefully do this to hurt her. I pointed out the different colors, also offered to take her to return the dress and she could get another if having a unique dress was that important. Juliet said that she shouldn't have to get a new dress. She kept trash talking this girl. I finally told her, it's a dress, your feelings are valid, but you need to stop being so dramatic and let it go. This upset her and she left the room in tears. I tried talking to her about it, but she stayed in her room. My eldest, 22 female, told me I technically wasn't wrong, but I shouldn't have said it. I really try to not be a bumbling dad who doesn't know what he's talking about. I learned all stuff related to raising girls, have always made it clear they can come to me for anything, etc. If I need to outsource a problem or they want a woman to talk to, they have their godmother, late wife's best friend. So am I the a-hole? Well, OP, in my opinion, no, you're not the a-hole. What your daughter is doing is wrong, is mean. And she's 17. It's not like she's 7 years old or 5 years old and she doesn't understand that what she's saying is very hurtful. Additionally, you gave her options. You told her that you could take her to change the dress and she could get another one, but no, she decided she didn't want that. She just wanted to keep trash talking this girl. So OP, no, I do not think you're the a-hole, and I do think that she should be made aware from you that there would be more consequences should she keep acting this way. Like you say, OP, she's absolutely entitled to being frustrated, but the way she's dealing with it is wrong. She needs to deal with it in a healthy way. Either do something about it, like changing the dress, or sulking in your room without hurting anybody. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Little Lion says, not the a-hole. Being that upset about a dress is overly dramatic. Does she do the same thing when someone else is wearing the same jeans, shirt, jacket, shoes as she is? We live in a world where things are mass-produced and shockingly, people end up wearing the same things, sometimes even at the same time. I would hate to see this behavior stay with her through college. It does sound like she is on a border of bullying this other girl though. I hope that she doesn't and you offered her multiple options that she turned down. She needed a dose of reality. And OP responds, honestly, this is all very out of character for her. She's never been one to care about fashion. I know sometimes her friends have worn the same outfits. She doesn't normally buy anything relatively unique. I don't know if there's some sort of prom dress culture or if something is going on. I know I'm her dad, so maybe I'm biased, but this is brand new behavior. The drunk scientist says, not the a-hole. She is bullying this other girl over a dress. This is beyond standard teenage a-holery. Rich Signal 7022 says, not the a-hole. 17 is way too old to be behaving like a child and having a temper tantrum. How would she feel if the other girl had asked her to buy another dress and then trash-talked her when she wouldn't? In the good old days before the internet, she'd have found out about it when she went to the prom. Additional information from OP's comments. I spoke with my daughter and she has no issues with her as a person. They truly barely spoke before then, not because they didn't like each other, but because it's a big school and they don't have mutual friends. Also, Juliet did post her dress on Instagram, but I can understand that maybe the other girl didn't see it. As they have no history, I don't think she'd maliciously try to upstage my daughter, or maybe she didn't see the big deal behind it. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, so let's quickly move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ends. I want to thank everyone for your feedback and advice. Some of you suggested there is much more going on and I agreed. I sat down with Juliet again and said I stand by my sentiment, but I also think there has to be more going on. As I said, it's just a dress and this isn't like her at all. Some of you suggested perhaps she had prior history with this girl. She said no, they don't even really talk. They only follow each other on social media because everyone follows everyone. I pushed more and asked why a dress was so important. She eventually admitted it wasn't, then went on to say that she's felt weird about prom this whole time and her senior year overall. When I asked why, she started crying and said she missed her mom. She wished she was here, etc. My wife passed when Juliet was 5, so she never truly had her for any of those big milestones that a girl would have with a mother. Watching her friends go through all these things with their mom reminded her that she doesn't have one. I gave her a big hug and held her while she cried. I cried a little myself. I knew that Juliet struggled with her mom's death, but had no clue it was still such an issue. Once she calmed down, Juliet insisted that she hadn't ever said anything to the girl but agreed to apologize for even asking her to change the dress. She also promised to stop talking junk. I told her next time to just talk to me about it. I miss her mom too. When my eldest was going through all these milestones in her senior year, I definitely felt that someone was missing and that my wife should be there. So, crisis is over. I know some said to ban her from going to prom, and if she had continued her behavior, I would've. But considering she's going to apologize and is letting it go, I feel that's an overreaction. OP, I absolutely agree with you. Your daughter is going to correct the whole thing because she understood that she was reacting frustrated about something that wasn't the dress. I'm really sorry that she's going through that, but it sounds like with your support, she can definitely get past it. And in that sense, I'm gonna call this a positive update. So here's wishing you all the best in the future, OP. Thank you for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.